I'm kind of curious, what is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Right, 5 years ago I was an exchange student in Mississippi, in the south of America.
Du hast visto.
I was sitting in this classroom, this girl asking me, "Oh, you from Germany?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Do you guys have cars in Germany?" I was like, "Are you serious?"
Si lo dijo de Alemania, no me imagino que habrá dicho de... No, porque yo la verdad lamento, perdón por lo que voy a decir, pero yo pensaba, y por mucho tiempo, hasta los 12 años o cosas así, pensaba que en Egipto y en toda África era, bueno, principalmente Egipto, que eran solo pirámides y que andaban a camello. Pero era una niña chiquita, no una persona de universidad o no sé qué, de donde dijo que... Sí, era una niña chiquita, ¿ok? Y pues cuando te mostraban Egipto, te mostraban así pirámides, camellos, arena. Y yo pensaba que era así. Pero repito, era chiquita, tenía derecho, ¿ok?
I was like, "Are you serious?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We invented cars, what are you talking about?"
Ah, ya, él le dijo. Pensé que iba a decir la estadounidense, la gringa, de que no, nosotros inventamos los carros. ¿Cómo que sí hay en otras partes y no solo aquí, donde los inventamos? Pensé que iba a decir algo así. Qué bueno que no lo dijo. Creo.
A lot of these because I studied in the US as a non-American for like a year, so I've heard a lot of crazy shit.
Oigan, entonces, a ver, espérenme, es que les quiero mostrar.
Si eres de África, ¿por qué eres blanca?
Entonces, ¿esto es verdad?
But here's one of them. So I was with a group of Americans and we were discussing whether or not we had seen a celebrity in public yet, because we were in New York, and sometimes in New York you can just see like Zendaya walking down the street. And I had just gotten there, so I had not seen a celebrity yet. So I was telling them how in Prague that doesn't happen. But then I told them that I had seen a famous Czech YouTuber walking around my neighborhood once, and this girl was like, "Wait, Czech YouTuber? I don't get it." And I was like, What do you not get?" And she was like, "Does he make videos in Czech?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "How does he do that? YouTube is in English." And I was like, no.
¡No puede ser verdad! ¿De verdad se creen el centro del universo y que ellos son los únicos que tienen tecnología? Que son... No.
What? And she was like, "Yeah, like the videos in YouTube are English because YouTube is in English. Hello, it's for English speakers." And I was like... I had to explain to this girl that most of YouTube is not in English and that like the whole world uses YouTube in their own language. And she was still confused.
¿Cómo habrá quedado al ver que la canción de Despacito era súper popular en YouTube y pues el simple hecho de que estuviera en YouTube? O Tusa también, así canciones súper populares en español, verlas en YouTube, ¿qué habrá pensado? Ay, Dios, qué ganas de saber lo que piensan esas personas. Están curiositos.
So, in 2013, I went to America for the first time ever. It was to New York, and I absolutely loved it. I went for a family holiday. And while I was there, at one point, I started talking to this American girl. And the second I started speaking, she was like, "Oh my God, like, you have an accent." And I said, "Yes, I have an accent." And she goes, "Yeah, but, like, your accent's different." And I said, "Yeah, of course it's different. I'm from the UK. I have a British accent. It's different to yours." And she goes, "Wait, I have an accent?" To which I said, "Yes. You have an American accent. I'm British, I've got a British accent. You're American."
Esto no lo culpo. Cuando era chiquita, pues yo sabía que existía el acento argentino, chileno, cubano, británico. Y pensé que los mexicanos no teníamos. Pero ya después me di cuenta de la verdad. Y vaya que sí, incluso, o sea, es diferente el acento en cada parte. Por ejemplo, el chilango. Ay, me gustaría poder hablar en idioma chilango. Pero no sé, no me sale.
Got an American accent, a French person would have a French accent, and a German person would have a German accent. And this girl looked so confused and so bewildered, she just was not understanding that concept. And it just made me think, how closed off are you guys to the real world? Like, there's more than just America. Come on.
Okay, so it was 2017. And it was my birthday, and I wanted to see With Confidence and Movements. So I went to Houston for this concert, right here. I also kind of like Knucklepuck, like I knew a few songs. So at the end, I met the lead singer, Nick, and I was chatting with him, and I told him that I went from Mexico to the concert, and he was so shocked, and he asked me like, "Oh, how did you get to the US from Mexico?" And I was like, "Oh, I flew here like on a plane. And he didn't believe me. He was like, you have planes in Mexico? And I was like, yeah, we have airports, international airports. So I explained to him how you could like travel to almost every part of the world from Mexico.
Me sorprende que lo diga un cantante. Ahí se nota que no ha salido de gira nunca.
In a plane. And he was so shocked that there were airports and planes in Mexico. He just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
I'm gonna do this video in English because it's so hilarious and I just want people to know, because ironically not many Americans know this. So I went to high school in Florida. When I first got there, I'm Latina, Hispanic. I don't remember if I was in a classroom or at lunch. I think it was before the class started in a classroom. And to some people, even though my English can be okay, Gringos can tell I'm a foreigner. Oops. So this white girl that was in front of me, she heard me talking to somebody and she asked where I was from. So I said, oh, I'm from Puerto Rico. And then she went, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Why? It must have been so harsh for you to get here as an immigrant. Not the colonizer not knowing they colonized me. No, I'm a US citizen since 1917 because Puerto Rico was invaded by the US in 1898. But Puerto Rico is not in America. Diablo, que tipa más bestia, holy shit.
I'm late to the trend, but I need to tell this. So a long time ago, I was on vacations with my family in Mexico. And usually we have direct flights from Mexico to Lisbon. Yes, I'm Portuguese. And yeah, we had a direct flight from Lisbon
Claro
to Cancun.
que Cancún. Ya sabía que iba a decir Cancún.
And we were supposed to also have a direct flight from Cancun to Lisbon, but there were problems. So instead, we needed to do a stop in the United States. So when we stopped at the United States and they asked to see our passports, things got confusing. Because when the policemen took our passports for the control for checking, they said that we could not pass because our passports were wrong. He said that where it says country, it should be Spain because Portugal is not a country, but a city from Spain.
What?
So I check into a hotel in Boston and he asks to see my ID. So I give it to him and he notices I'm from Toronto. And he says, a lot of you Canadians come all the way down here. And I see a lot of people from Ontario. Is Ontario near Toronto? And I go, well, actually, Toronto's in Ontario. And he goes, really? Huh. Boy, your country's bigger than I thought it was. And I said, well, actually, land-wise, Canada is the second biggest country in the world. And he goes, Canada? No. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can look it up. He's like, no. I go, well, what did you think the second biggest country land-wise in the world was? And he goes, I don't know. Africa? And I go, Africa is a continent. And he goes, well, yeah, if you put it that way.
Ay, no.
So I am Italian and I go to college in the US. I was on a phone call with my advisor to schedule my classes for spring semester, okay? So at some point he goes like, wait, you're Italian. I love Paris. I've been there a few years ago. And I told him, yeah, I love Paris too. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. I've been there a few years ago too. And he goes like, I also took some French classes in high school too. And I was like, yeah, French. Yeah, I know French because I studied it at school. And he goes like, wait, you studied it at school? And I goes like, yeah, I studied it because...
No sé por qué, pero de pequeña yo también pensaba que, o sea, no sé por qué, pero Italia y Francia me suenan como que muy parecido. O sea, yo sé que son dos países totalmente diferentes y que uno se habla italiano y otro francés, pero no sé por qué los veo muy parecidos. ¿No les pasa?
In Italy, we don't speak French and Paris isn't in Italy. So, yeah, that's it. In Italy, we speak Italian. In the capital of Italy is Rome. And he goes like, oh my god, how could I forget? Man.
What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Excuse me, why do you speak Spanish? Well, a lot of my friends speak Spanish, so I decided to teach myself. It's not hard. You don't look Mexican. I'm not. I'm black. Wait, so you're black and you speak Spanish? And your English seems okay. Yes, black people can learn other languages. I mean, like, I guess, but, like, it doesn't make sense that you speak Spanish if you're not Mexican.
I was in an Uber. He told me that, what are the last 2 letters of COVID? ID. There's microchips in the vaccine, and there's your proof. He continued
No.
to say, COVID-19, first letter of the alphabet is A, 9th letter is I, AI. They're turning us into robots. He also said that the vaccine is full of dead babies, aborted babies, and he doesn't want to be injected with a black girl baby.
Aparte de ignorante racista. ¿Por qué? No. ¿Creen que esto sea real o que se le está inventando? Es que de verdad no. No puede ser real.
And then he ended it with telling me the pandemic's not real and started taking his mask off, and I told him drop me off immediately. He accused me of not being able to handle the truth.
I'm an American that has recently moved to London, and I've had multiple American friends ask me what language they speak here in England. One even asked me if I had to learn French to live here in England.
So I was in San Diego last year. I was at a service station, just filling up the car with petrol. And I go up to the cashier and I'm like, oh yeah, just the petrol, thanks, mate. And he goes, oh shit, is that an accent? Where are you from? I'm just from Australia. Oh wow, that's like a really long way away. So did you fly here or did you drive here? A flu? Yeah, it's probably a little bit too far to drive, isn't it? I think about this all the bloody time.
¿Cómo vas a conducir de un continente a otro?
Like a howdy? What?
I mean, no shade to Americans because I do dumb shit all the time.
Soy esa.
But I once had a lady comment on a post when I said, thank God it's Friday. And she said, it's Thursday, hun. And I said, no,
bueno.
In Australia it's Friday. And then she accused me of gaslighting her, to which I answered, I'm going to blow your mind when I tell you that it's actually summer in Australia too, while you're in winter. And then she called me a terrorist.
¿Es último
I'm
qué?
kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Okay, so, true story. When I was a teenager, I was in Arizona visiting my best friend.
¿Arizona es un lugar? ¿No era una bebida? Ah, ¿verdad? Ya me sentí bien gringa.
Out there, and I was there for the summer, and we met this girl, and she complimented my top, and she was like, oh, I really like your top, where'd you get it? And I was like, Singapore. She goes, oh, is that a mall? And I look at her and I was like, no, it's in Asia. And I kid you not, she goes, is Asia a mall?
So I'm from Germany, but I've lived in Switzerland for my entire...
No. O sea, quizás Singapur está bien, pero tal cual no saber qué haces un continente.
life until 2015 when my family moved to the US, and I spent 2 years living there, so I've heard a lot of dumb shit, but here's the worst of it. So one time I was with a group of people and I was on the phone with my friend in Germany, and when we hung up I said, good night, sleep well. And this guy is like, so he goes, why is she going to bed? It's like 3 p.m. And so I had to explain that because she's in Germany, she's 6 hours ahead because of time zones. And he looks really confused, like, and then he asked me, if Germany is 6 hours ahead, why did nobody ever warn them about 9/11 happening? This guy literally thought that time zones meant that you could time travel.
¡No lo culpo! ¡Yo también! Cuando veía Nickelodeon y estábamos así por temporadas de los Kids Choice Awards, esas premiaciones y ajá, haz de cuenta que decían de que, en México va a ser a las 5 de la tarde, en Colombia a las, no me acuerdo si están adelantados, ¿verdad? En Colombia a las 6 de la tarde, y yo me enojaba, me molestaba porque decía de que, ¿por qué en Colombia va a ser, o sea... No, perdón, no, me sentía bien, perdón, lo contrario. Yo me sentía súper especial porque decía de que, ¡ay! En México lo vamos a ver primero. Yeah.
So I was talking to this guy. We had known each other for like 3 months, I think, and we were talking on the phone, and I was talking about my parents, and he was like, oh, by the way, I have a question. How come your parents speak Arabic? I was like, well, it's their native language. And he was like, oh, really? I did not know people in that area spoke Arabic. Thought they only spoke Spanish. And I was like, no. If we were to speak any Western language, it would most likely be French, since we were colonized by the French, not the Spanish. And then he said, oh, by the way, I wanted to tell you, it's not pronounced Algeria, it's pronounced Argentina. I had to explain to him that I came from an actual country called...
O sea, que te corrigieran. Que alguien te corrigiera del lugar donde tú naciste y creciste. No, no se dice México. Se dice... No sé qué podría decir. Y aparte que te corrijan mal. O sea, aparte. Pero... Tiene sentido, oye. O sea, tiene sentido que le dijera de que, oye, ¿por qué no hablan español? Ajá. Porque pensaba que decía Argentina. Ya, pues no lo veo tan tonto.
And then I said, it's like next to Morocco. And he said, where's Morocco? And I said, well, in North Africa. And then there was a blank, and I said, yes, I am African.
So let's set the scene. It's early July, and I'm in Marrakesh. I've just checked into this hostel, and I'm sitting on one of these chairs here, by the pool. So this young couple from Georgia sparks up a conversation with me. So the couple invite me up to like the roof, this like roof patio thing, to see the fireworks. So we end up on the roof terrace here, mingling with various nationalities, and the Americans are asking like, does anyone know when the fireworks start? Everyone's a bit confused. Anyway, it transpires that it is the 4th of July, American Independence Day. We're in Morocco.
Yeah.
There's maybe like 10 of us all trying to explain to this American couple why they probably don't have fireworks for the 4th of July in Marrakesh, Morocco.
So when I was 16, I did...
No me acuerdo dónde había leído y no me acuerdo muy bien cómo era la publicación, pero recuerdo que había visto que según los gringos creen que el 4 de julio es una celebración mundial. O sea, que es algo súper importante en todo el mundo, así como Navidad, que se celebran pues en prácticamente todo el mundo. Por si no saben, 4 de julio es la independencia de los Estados Unidos.
Parents, and they were at the beach because it was really hot and, you know, it was summer in Brazil at that time. And then she looked me straight in the eyes and asked me, oh, so is it July in Brazil now?
So I live in Cancun, Mexico, and I've been working with American tourism for around 6 years now. And there was this time when a guy in his 40s came to the resort I was working in. It was his first time in Mexico, and he told me he wanted to book some tours. So I started writing down all the tours he wanted to do. He told me he wanted to visit Chichen Itza, Tulum, and Machu Picchu. So I stopped writing and told him Machu Picchu was not in Mexico. It was in Peru. And he asked me how much would it take to get there in a taxi.
No, pues... Ay, ¿cómo que 5 o 6 horas en taxi? Eso muy apenas en avión. En taxi, no sé, ¿una semana? ¿Más? No sé, pero mucho.
It would take around from 5 to 6 hours by plane. And he was so mad. He began complaining that how come if we also had Mayan ruins, no one told him Machu Picchu was not here.
I'm kind of curious, what is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
So I'm Mexican, and I was working in Tulum. One day I was talking with this girl, and she said to me, I really wanted to visit Mexico in Cinco de Mayo to see your Independence Day.
Eso también lo he visto muchísimo. No sé por qué los gringos creen que el 5 de mayo para nosotros es nuestra independencia. Y celebran, en Estados Unidos celebran el 5 de mayo. Cuando aquí es solo de que 5 de mayo. Está bien. Sí, pero... Ni a su edad dan, creo.
Sorry, what? Yeah, Cinco de Mayo, your Independence Day? Oh, actually our Independence Day is on September 16. Don't lie to me, I know South American history and I know that Mexico Independence Day, it's on Cinco de Mayo. Well, actually no, Mexico's North America. And you can Google that. Actually, you can see that Mexico's Independence Day is on September 16. Oh my god, you have Google? Yes, why? I mean, I'm really surprised that you can speak English and use Google.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm from Indiana. I'm from the Midwest. Temporarily, though, I used to live in Los Angeles before moving out to the East Coast. So one day I was in LA and I was like, okay, like I want to change banks. I no longer want to be with the bank I was currently with. So I go in and I went to the teller and I was like, hey, I just want to close my account if that's okay. They're like, yeah, no problem. And I go, perfect. They're like, can we see your ID? I said, yeah. Hand them my ID, and they're like, I'm so sorry, like, do you have a United States ID? That's just what we're gonna need to go ahead and confirm. I said, that is my Indiana ID. This is my driver's license. I'm from Indiana. And they said, no, I'm so sorry, but this is not a United States ID. Do you have any other form of ID? They're like, this says Indiana. I go, I know. Indiana is a state. I'm from Indiana. And they said, no, I need to see a United States ID. And I was just like, I'm sorry, what is our education system?
So I grew up in the States, and when I was 16 years old, I moved back to Argentina with my family. So,
¿Argentina o Argelia? Es que ya no supe, son iguales.
Mine messaged me and said, oh, I can't believe you moved back. And I told him, yes, it's so crazy now here. It's winter time, and it's the complete opposite of the US, since during the summer in the US it's winter in Argentina. And he goes, oh, it's winter over there, so is it Christmas time now? And I go, no, it's August, but isn't Christmas during winter time?
Yo la verdad cuando me enteré, perdónenme, sé que estoy metiendo mucho mi situación con este video, perdónenme, pero les juro que todo esto que estoy contando es de antes de cumplir, no sé, 14, 15 años, ahorita ya no pienso así, pero yo recuerdo que yo pensaba que cuando era invierno aquí, era invierno en todo el mundo. Me sorprendió saber que en Sudamérica la Navidad la celebran en verano. O sea, cuando eran niños, ¿qué sentían cuando veían películas navideñas y veían nieve, chocolate caliente y esas cosas? ¿Sentían como de que raro verlo? Es pregunta seria. Me siento muy gringa ahora, perdón.
So it has to be Christmas now. And I go, no, Christmas is in December.
So I'm an American expat who's lived abroad for over 10 years. And every year I hear other Americans ask, why doesn't this country celebrate Thanksgiving? I tell everyone I'm Canadian now.
I once flew from London to Houston, and when I got to the border, the TSA agent took my British passport, my return ticket to London, and then proceeded to ask me, where did I learn how to speak English? And when I kind of said, England, she said, oh, you guys speak English out there too?
One time I was in high school and this girl asked me what I was. I told her I'm Egyptian, my family's from Egypt.
Miren, es que de verdad me sorprende que los gringos no, o sea, sean tan ignorantes, siendo que actualmente en el internet puedes aprender muchísimo, o sea, conscientemente o inconscientemente al estar viendo TikToks, videos en YouTube o cualquier cosa, deberían saber aunque sea un poquito más de la vida, ¿no? Entendería si fuera esto hace 30 años, 50 años, 70 años, porque no había acceso a tanta información. Pero actualmente que haya gente así, es que de verdad...
She said, no, tell me the truth. I told her I'm Egyptian, my family's from Egypt.
Va a decir lo que dije hace
She said,
rato.
no, tell me the truth. Where are you really from? I told her I'm not lying. I'm from Egypt. She said, no, you don't understand. Egypt literally doesn't exist. And I was like, no, it actually does. I go there every summer to visit my family. She's like, no, you don't get it. Egypt literally doesn't exist. The US is the world. There's no other country. I said, so what are they teaching us in history then? She said, oh no, those are just stories. Egypt doesn't exist.
So I'm born and raised in the States, but my family's Brazilian, and I would often go back to Brazil to go and visit my other relatives. When I would come back from Brazil and go to school, people would ask me, how I was posting stuff.
What?
And I would say, what do you mean? And they were like, don't they not have internet there? And I would just be completely dumbfounded. And I would say, what do you mean? Of course we have internet. And they would ask me, how do you get it? So I would literally tell them, oh, we have a monkey and we bribe him with a coconut and we have him run on a spinning wheel, and that's how our internet works. And they believed me.
So my family is originally from Peru. I'm the first one in our family that was raised in the States. And a few years ago, I was talking to a coworker about places where we'd like to live. And I said, I've never really been more than a city kid. Like, I've always been either near or in a city. And she asked me, weren't you born in Peru? And I was like, yes. She goes, wait, I don't understand. Like, how are you in a city in Peru? And I was like, I was born in Lima, the largest city in the country, and one of the largest in South America. And she was like, oh, shoot, so it's like a real city with, like, buildings and stuff? I was like, yes, how did you think I was born? And she goes, well, have you ever seen Emperor's New Groove? I thought you were, like, born in a hut with, like, a llama next to you. That may be the truth for some, but it's not my truth. Her mind was blown when I said we had cities in South America.
I am from northern Mexico, and 2 years ago I was on the beach. I was talking to an American, and he thought I was British. I think it was because of my accent. So I asked him what he thinks about Mexicans, and he said something like this. Well, Mexicans don't prosper because they are dark, short, ugly, eat beans every day, and they have no education.
¡Ay, no tienen educación! ¿Cómo te atreves a decir eso de la educación? ¿Cómo te atreves?
In my country.
O sea, sí, no tenemos el mejor, así, ¿cómo se podría decir? La mejor educación del mundo, así de que, wow, todos somos científicos, súper inteligentes, pero es que después de ver tanto video de cómo son...
Then I said, what? Are you mental? I am Mexican, bro. There's nothing wrong with being dark. And yeah, I like beans, but today I had lobster for dinner. And I am about 4 inches taller than you. And by the way, I think I am more handsome than you.
¡Ay, de verdad! No me puedo creer que esta gente sea real. De verdad. O sea... Pero bueno, en caso de que sí llegue a subir esto a YouTube, muchas gracias por haber visto el video. Y si tienen alguna experiencia con algún estadounidense parecida a lo que vimos, pueden comentarla. Yo los estaré leyendo. Gracias por ver.